Welcome back to the show. Well, I have Tim Beavers with Public Works with us today, and he is here to give us some really good tips for snow removal and what's going on in the city this year. And I think everybody's going to be listening closely after our winter last year because we had so much snow. So give us some of your tips, recommendations, and then give us some information about how y'all get ready for all of this.
The best tip for anybody in snow is if you don't need to be on the road, don't get on the road. Stay at home. I know you can't do that. Everybody can't accomplish that. But if you can, it certainly helps us out in removing snow. It's safer, less cars on the road. So our first advice is be safe. Stay at home or wherever you are if you can until the roads are clear. So that's our number one. And yes, last year was a brutal winter. Temperatures and snow, so we got back into the game and practiced up real well last year on snow removal where we'd had some mild winters before. So, but our main mission is we have 26 routes, snow routes. Certainly we want to keep the main roads clear first, the primary roads, Volunteer Parkway, Weaver Pike, West State Street, King College Road, the main emergency routes. We want to keep them clear first. Right. And then when the secondary routes in the subdivisions, the main routes in each subdivision, we want to keep clear too. We want to get to them second. And then last is clear off the smaller roads and any cul-de-sacs and subdivisions. But our main goal is to keep the primary emergency routes open and then those secondary routes. But we have 26 routes ran by our vehicles. So we've got 26 plus dedicated guys out there. If needed, we have 2 shifts, 12-hour shifts each. Wow. So we have a plan that we try to utilize as best as possible to get rid of it as inexpensively and as efficient as possible. Because we want to, we want to save the money as much as possible. But we want to provide, and I think people have seen, we like to provide a high level of service of snow removal because it does help the community from emergency safety standpoints, as well as if people have to get to work and work, the businesses are open, the people are getting paid to be at work, they're generating tax revenue, which, cities and states and federal government love taxes, but, that it's good to have people to be able to get where they need to go.
And I'm sure, like you said, after last winter, you've probably got this down to like a real science now.
Well, the plan's been developed over years. There's been a lot of input into it. The current city manager, Bill Sora, he was director or deputy city manager of Public Works for 23 years. So he crafted it, and that was his passion. One of his many passions was snow removal and providing that exceptional service there for people to utilize, see the benefits of it and be able to travel. But once again, the main thing is if you don't need to be in it, let us get it off the streets, and that keeps you out of the way and people not getting stuck in ditches that we have to get vehicles out of the way before we can plow routes or apply chemicals to them.
Now, with the chemicals, do you use the same products for ice and snow, or are they a little different? Do you treat the roads a little differently for the two? Because I remember, everybody probably remembers maybe 2 or 3 years ago, remember we had that really bad ice storm where it was just like a sheet of ice everywhere. And do you treat that the same as the kind of snowfall that we had last year?
It's really temperature driven, and that being your pavement temperature, which can trend with your air temperature. So there's different methods we utilize depending on the pavement temperature, the air temperature. Is it rising, falling? The storm event, is it a light, medium, heavy? What's happening after the storm event? Is it in the middle of the night that it's going to end? Is it in the day and there's going to be sunshine coming out? So there's a bunch of different methods utilized, and that snow plan, it has a matrix of ways to apply snow depending on the temperature, the type of snowfall, the weather pattern. So we sort of have to, before an event happens, we have to almost to play weather person. So we try to look at all the available forecasts and models, and we're trying to predict what's going to happen so we know how to start treating and how to fight the event. And experience obviously plays a key into that. And certainly last year was my first year really involved in it, and Bill rode along with me and helped me out tremendously on what he had seen in years past and what worked and what didn't. And we certainly, our superintendent, Wes Ritchie, he's very experienced in that, so he takes care of me in it, let me put it that way.
Oh, that's great. And then once the chemicals hit, how long do they usually take to start really working?
Once again, it depends on the temperature.
Okay.
But certainly they work the best when they start dissolving in the slush and the snow and get wet, because just a grain sitting out there is not going to do much on its own. It needs to dissolve the snow, mix in solution, and then start spreading over the road. And it just varies. Once again, it's all temperature driven, and we typically use salt, just calcium chloride or sodium chloride, and then we do use supplement with some calcium depending on the temperature. When it got down to -4 during that one snow, that was a brutal snow to try to get off the streets. Yeah. And we used some calcium on the roads then, because it has a lower temperature, freezing temperature, than the just regular salt that we typically use.
And I'm thinking, when you're out there plowing, for parents, keep your kids away from all of that.
Yes.
We don't want them near the roadways when you're doing that. So
certainly,
just
be safe.
To be aware
Yes.
of all of these trucks out there and let you do your job. So
yes. Be safe. I mean, once again, if you don't need to be on the road and don't need to be near the road, please just try to avoid it, because the less vehicles on the roads, the less vehicles we have to dodge and move around and worry about the plows, because it is slick. Even for those big trucks and the plows, they slide, and it is a big cumbersome piece of equipment, some of those tandem trucks, the dump trucks, to move and maneuver. So, but like I said, our goal is to get it off as efficiently and effectively as possible, and try to minimize the cost of that service, just so we don't hit the tax base hard on it. So hopefully this winter won't be as bad.
yeah, let's all hope. Keep our fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Alrighty, Tim, thanks for joining us. You'll have to come back. We've learned a lot, and we appreciate it.
All right, thanks.
And you stay with us. Stay tuned. We'll be back in a second.